Welcome back to our channel. On today's video, we're going to be driving through the parts of Sarasota that tourists are likely never going to see. And you'll notice that the screen will start to get foggy. I accidentally left my GoPro inside a bag that had my dirty laundry, and I ran my GoPro, the GoPro charger cord, and the GoPro batteries inside the washing machine for a complete cycle, only realizing that the GoPro was in the washing machine when I heard a loud bang coming from the washing machine. So what you're seeing here is the moisture within the camera starting to come out as the heat generated by the camera starts to thaw it out. That should just give you an idea how rough these GoPros are. Now the front screen broke for some reason, and I think because the front screen broke, that the camera battery charge lasted about twice as long as it usually does. So it's actually more effective of a camera now that I've ran it through the washing machine than before. Well, honestly, it's time for a new GoPro anyways, since I really don't like the way these GoPros record. There's just too many gray colors, and I can fix it with some editing programs, giving it a little bit more contrast, a little bit more brightness, but I just don't like the way GoPros record. It seems like the iPhones are a much better camera for recording, but of course you're not about to strap a $1,500 phone to the front of your car and drive around in bad neighborhoods. At the end of the day, it is time for a new GoPro, and eventually I'm going to have to just spend the money and try the newest GoPro that's out there. The GoPros have some great things, like you can mount them anywhere, but one of the worst things about the GoPros is just I don't like the video quality. So as you guys know, Sarasota is a nice and fancy city. A lot of people are moving here from famous YouTubers. Even realtors have moved down here because they think it's a place where they can make a lot of money. Despite all that, there are some neighborhoods in the Sarasota area that are definitely not glamorous. So let's take a ride through Sarasota, and throughout the video I'll illustrate some parts of the videos, and other parts of the video I won't. I was gonna turn to the street here on the right, and then I looked down the street, and I was like, "Nah, I'm all right. I'll skip on that one." Notice how they have a police officer right here in this intersection, and the main roads that split to this part of Sarasota. You'll see Dodge Chargers going through here 100 miles an hour for some reason. So he's got a very strategic spot where somebody could just go right flying past him. Notice how there's actually potholes on the road here. You won't see that in most parts of Sarasota, but in some of these poor neighborhoods, you'll definitely notice that. Right here, you can actually notice a trail going off into the left, and that's the entrance to a homeless camp. Ironically, you can see right here, they're building a house right next to the homeless camp. So I backed up, and in another video that's going up on my channel, I actually walked into the homeless camp to see what that was about, and it was pretty interesting. Alright, so we leave the homeless camp and we continue driving through this neighborhood, which is somewhere north of downtown Sarasota. Even though the GoPro records in 4K, would you guys agree with me that the overall video quality is very poor when you have low lighting conditions? Now this here was kind of shocking. If you look in the balcony of that building in front of us, you'll notice that there's a guy slumped over, and that's usually what happens when they take the fent. It makes them lean over like that. Notice a police officer driving right past, and that right there is the effects of fent. And you can see he's kind of bent over. What a sad situation, right? And you'll see stuff like that in the worst neighborhoods of Sarasota. You probably won't see that in downtown, but you get off in some of the side neighborhoods, and it's not all a beautiful, expensive paradise. There's some real streets out there, and there's situations like the one we're looking at right here. A lot of people fail to notice that Sarasota and Manatee County have an overdose death rate that's 20 per 100,000 less than the city of Philadelphia. So you're not talking about a huge difference. Imagine if Bradenton and Sarasota were the size of Philadelphia, it would almost be as bad. And I think a lot of times people put so much focus on the real estate and the growth and what communities are growing the fastest, and so many people move to Sarasota, and again, all the YouTubers and realtors. But there's a part of living down here that doesn't match that narrative. There's a real life being lived out here. And if you add up the numbers, if Sarasota and Bradenton were the size of Philadelphia, the Kensington and Bradenton and Sarasota wouldn't really be that much smaller than the one in Philadelphia. And if you compare it to a city like Los Angeles, the Skid Row of Sarasota, if it had 3 million people, it would be bigger than the Skid Row in Los Angeles by far. You know, it's just because these are smaller cities, you don't really see the volumes. But if you just look at numbers and percentages by rate, these cities have a lot of problems. I would almost say that it's time for a new GoPro. Notice how, despite the fact that I don't have the lens cap, you're seeing the lens wide open on the GoPro. You're still getting a lot of glare back. So it really is time for a new GoPro. This GoPro has seen a lot of travel, and it's probably time for a new device. I think putting it through the washing machine might have been the last thing this GoPro needed. And putting it in the salt water on a lot of those videos I was doing, the salt water is definitely destructive. I think I'm going to keep this GoPro for daytime saltwater videos, and then get a new GoPro for my drive around, since, as we can see from this video, it still works after being run through the washing machine. But man, it's definitely not the same GoPro it was before that incident. That's kind of the cost of being a YouTuber. You know, we go through GoPros every once in a while just about all the equipment that we buy. I just recently had to buy a new microphone that I'm speaking into right now, and that cost a lot more than I expected. So, everybody these days wants to be a YouTuber. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me this week alone telling me that they want to be YouTubers. What do they need? I'm like, a lot of investment. And I started YouTubing many years ago, so I have a leg up. But right now, to start from zero, it's a more challenging road to be a YouTuber, especially with shorts. And it's a very different road today than what it was in the past. Many years ago, I would upload a video just like this, and it could have got 30 or 40,000 views in the first year because nobody else was doing it. But now there's so many people YouTubing that when I upload this exact video, if you don't put a spin on it or do something different, it's not going to get more than a few thousand views. But that's really what things are like right now in Sarasota. As you can see, it's not all rich, fancy neighborhoods. There are definitely some more impoverished parts of the city, and there's areas that even have homeless camps, so it's definitely not a perfect place. But it is beautiful. It is a fun place to live. Lots of restaurants. There's a lot of great reasons to be out here. I just don't understand how a place that has so many good things going for it can also have so much bad, especially with the homeless population, and the overdose rates out here are absolutely insane. And I don't understand how a place that is so beautiful, has beaches, doesn't inspire people to be better and just try harder. But they don't make it easy here in Florida. The rents are ridiculously expensive, and the jobs simply don't pay. I hear people in other states that are affordable to live in complaining about their salaries. They don't know that here in Florida, not only are we getting paid less than you are up north, but our rents can be 2 or 3 times higher for the same dwelling. Then add to that, your insurance rates here can be as much as 4 to 5 times higher. Overall, the overhead in Florida is very high, and the entry of income very difficult to obtain. What I like to tell people is Florida is a great place if you have a lot of money, and a miserable place if you don't.